This Blessed Union by T-Drop. Narrated by Michael Hagiantonis. Chapter 2. A great booming crack of sound startled Leo out of an already troubled sleep. The sound was so loud it felt like a physical blow pounding the air, leaving him frozen until it rumbled quietly down to nothing. Leo relaxed as he felt the mild vibration of energy pulsing from the villa's wards, recovering from what had undoubtedly been a direct lightning strike. Rain was pouring outside, the howling winds driving it against the window pane in aggressive bursts. Every inch of the room was suddenly highlighted by a series of white flashes, leaving phantom images burnt into Leo's eyes in the following darkness. He slightly berated himself for not closing the curtains earlier. Now irreversibly awake, Leo threw off his covers to get out of bed. He uttered a rune word to his bedside lantern, and its stone ignited with gold light. Leo took it up, shuffling out of his bedroom door and into the hallway, casting a circle of warm light as he went. Lightning continued to flash through the row of windows in the hall, showing brief, crisp images of the balcony outside. Rain cascaded from the inner balcony's roof, pouring onto the outer stone in small waterfalls. Being this close to the ocean, storms were commonplace, and they'd been overdue for one after 2 weeks of still skies. The raging wind and lightning was hardly a threat, within the safety of the wards that had been whispered into every stone and pillar of the villa. Household wards were a necessity in a region this rife with storms, offering protection against flooding, wind damage, and the more serious threat of fires by lightning. Wards or not, Leo was still startled when lightning struck nearby and gripped the railing of the staircase as he went down to the main level. After hours trying to fall asleep in his own room, he craved a change of scenery. Their sitting room was a large open area, loosely contained by 3 walls and 1 giant bay window facing the shoreline. It was furnished by deep sofas and chairs, with 2 sets of tables for games or conversation. Leo dropped his lantern unceremoniously on the floor and sunk into an armchair closest to the fireplace. The ashes were cold, and he didn't intend to start a fire, but this was his favourite spot in the room. For several minutes he sat and watched the lightning outside, exposing the violently heaving ocean waves in flashes of stark white light. Occasionally, he caught sight of massive tendrils flowing down from the sky, signalling the presence of weather beasts roaming atop the heavy clouds. Had they been closer, he might have tried to distinguish the thrumming of their movements from the rumbling of thunder. Instead of growing drowsier by watching the storm, Leo was becoming more awake. Rain and thunder were usually soothing and pleasant to him, aside from the earth-shattering noise of a direct lightning strike. It was cruel that tonight of all nights had brought with it one of those rare occurrences. He shifted in the chair as the inevitable circus of thoughts and anxieties began to dance through his head. It was exhausting, the exact same problems and possible solutions replaying without reaching any clear conclusion. His mind felt as worn and battered as a loaf of flattened bread. If sleep was not an option, he preferred a distraction instead. Leo glanced toward the giant lump of raw gemstone sitting in the middle of the nearest table, upon an intricate metal stand. Its many shards sprouted out from the main body in all different lengths, sparkling with every flash of lightning. It was so very late, perhaps far too late for the attempt, but Leo was desperate. He rose from the chair and went to sit at the table instead, spending a further few moments staring at the gemstone and deciding if he wanted to do this. For all he knew, Isaac already had, and it would only be making things worse. Deciding it didn't matter. He took a deep breath and spoke a series of rune words. The gemstone lit up, the natural white of the structure tinted with a green glow as it began to hum. "It's Leo. Are you there?" Leo spoke clearly, feeling dreadfully guilty. He waited for several long seconds as his own voice echoed quietly from the gemstone, the shards repeating the words between brief pauses. To his relief, another voice finally answered. "Gods of night, what are you doing awake at this hour, Leo?" came a man's voice, reverberating as blue light through the glowing green stone. "Did I wake you? I'm so sorry," babbled Leo. "I thought you might be on a different schedule anyway if you were still far enough west." "Not to worry," the voice said cheerily. "I'm adjusting while sailing back south. We've been having issues with communication, though, so I can't promise this connection will last. Every voice stone on board has been sporadically failing for days." "You're not near the Strait of Oblivion, are you?" Leo asked, hopefully. He heard an amused snort. No, we're still almost a week away from the Aldonian border. Something else is causing the disruption in energies." "What could possibly do that? Sounds terrifying." Don't worry, my boy. Whatever the cause, it's not affecting the engines or any other essential tech, so we'll manage. That being said, talk now while we're still connected clearly. You obviously can't sleep if you're calling me this late. What's on your mind? Did your dad do something embarrassingly snooty enough to give you nightmares?" A much-needed laugh burst from Leo. It was a relief to smile and speak informally after spending so much time with King Theol. This was exactly what he needed. "Isaac has actually been quite the noble hero today. That's what I wanted to tell you about. Didn't he hail you earlier?" "If he did, I wasn't able to receive it." "Right, well, he probably tried. Both of us have missed you so much today. We really needed you here." The voice took on an affectionately patronizing quality as it taunted in response. What a pair of soft, lovable fools you are. How ever are you surviving without me for this long?" "We're not." Leo chuckled sadly. "Not very well. But this time, Shay, even if you were here, I don't know that the outcome would have been any better." Shay's voice became softer after hearing that. "Sounds dreadfully ominous if it's something I couldn't prevent." "That's putting it lightly," Leo grumbled raggedly, smushing his face against his hands on the tabletop. "Your charm might have lessened the blow, but I still feel like a blade just swept through and cut everything to shreds. I'm just trying to patch things up so we don't bleed out in the aftermath." "Now you're seriously worrying me," Shay said. "Your mind is never in a pleasant place when you start speaking in metaphors, to say nothing of your heart." "Can't I be poetic without being depressed?" Leo tried to tease, but it fell flat in the silence. "Leo," Shay asked, quiet and concerned. "What's wrong, son?" Realizing that he'd been stalling, Leo braced himself, answering the question. "Today, or yesterday at this point, we had an unexpected visitor. Well, not entirely unexpected. Isaac knew about it, but didn't tell me." "What an ass," Shay said lovingly, earning another thankful twitch of a smile from Leo. "You'd have done the same. It was King Theol." Silence met his words, until there was the very soft sound of a shaky breath being drawn. Leo could feel the tension that gripped Shay in that pause. He heard something clatter, and had a mental image of Shay dropping something on the desk in his airship office, while leaning in closer to his fragment of their voice stone. "Oh gods, Leo, what did he—" The gemstone suddenly flared red, making Leo squint. Then, Shay's voice and the glowing light died at the same instant. Leo was left blinking in the dark at nothing, wanting to punch something until his knuckles bled. It was a long while before he could bring himself to stand up, fetch the lantern, and return to his room. The lightning had moved further away, taking the loudest of the thunder with it. Back in his room, he put the lantern back on his bedside table and picked up the bottle that was waiting there. He pulled the cork out, letting the metal holder spring back, and upturned the bottle, swallowing every last drop. Then he spat a set of rune words to put out the lantern and climbed beneath the covers. If he had any chance of salvaging his sleep this night, it was now or never.